Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Kohan Duels. This time we have a game featuring myself. We have Gray and Brown, Stu and Green Sill, and Hunting and Purple Royalist. We have Brown Royalist and myself as a back Nationalist. Then over here on the other side we have Usika. I forget who this is specifically. I think they're a pretty strong player. Then we have Hand. This is a very competent player. Has a raiding playstyle, I noticed. Beaver. And Cloud. So front royalist. Hand in council, back council, and a back nationalist. We'll get this started. I would like to start posting some Kohan Gold replays as well, as I think that patch is just as viable as this one, if not more so in some ways. It's just been more recent patches with more recent adaptations to the meta, so I feel like it is in a good place. And some of the considerations are for random maps and random map balance. But I'm mostly the one playing them with people. Me and Viper tend to do sets. And if you guys are interested in some Kohan Gold, maybe not up to date, but some Kohan Gold sets between me and Viper, let me know. Could make that happen. There will be 1v1 and some of them get pretty lengthy, so I'll have to speed up the videos a little bit, but yeah. Alright, let's see what people are opening. So punting is myself. And here we have Stu. He's got Sarai. She's a good protection Hun. I wouldn't say one of the best ones. I think recovery is a single person heal. Do one element, yeah. Which situationally can be better than a group heal, but most of the time it's just less HP. There we go. Jamshed. I'm always happy when I roll Jamshed on Royalist. He's got everything you really need to be proficient in melee. Unlimited morale practically with his courage spell, spell immunity, 14 start in defense value. Excellent Kohan. He can lead horse archers, he can lead dragoons. Either way, you're not too sore for it. Here we have, I think I saw one of the custom Kohan here, and the hunter. Yeah, we'll go over him for a second when he comes back out. I forget his name. Magok. Magok's really hairy. He's a solid Kohan. He's like a slightly worse version of Jamshed. He hits a lot harder and has Khaldunite damage. And magic resistant, which is nice. But courage is just so valuable for melee Kohan. This guy will stick around and do some damage to things. This is an interesting raid. If he gets a bad roll on this, he could end up flipping this village. But no, we got the militia popping out, and I'll probably just make him leave. Although Jamshed, if his AV is scaling up, could potentially fight here. Yeah, I'd rather get him out. Yeah, he's standing in the forest with 18 DV. Here we go. I mean, there's no situation where he actually wins that versus the militia. It's just kind of cute. If he can get a few militia kills, get some experience. Gallon, just talk. Gallon is one of those Kohan who, like, he sounds cool in theory, he hits hard and everything, but in execution, he's usually very underwhelming. He gets his melee resistance stat, and he starts applying that to his company, which is nice. But a lot of damage in this game ignores that. Special damage types ignore that, like magic or Khaldunite, even if it's melee. And then, yeah, it's just too circumstantial, since a lot of the damage you end up taking is ranged. He can fight other Dragoons pretty well. And we have a Typhon Horse Archer. I like this, getting the Shadow Bless on the Horse Archers. He's doing the right thing here. You don't want to drop the DV of these Dragoons any. No good for expansion. Alright. That's the best... Yeah, I guess that's the best Kohan he has for doing this. And... Aura plus Sarai. He's definitely not one for good Hans. She's like an A plus Kohan. This guy's probably a solid A plus, actually. I'd say Sarai is more of an A. Is this gonna get jacked? Who? Oh, interference. Oh, that's not good. I wonder if there's anyone nearby. I don't remember exactly what happens this game. Gila Janet. He hasn't yet attacked. The militia might... Okay, it did pop out. Oof. Yeah, they're zoning this off. I guess they're probably gonna take this, honestly. I don't see anything moving up there. This is no good, really. I guess it can support that. This and that. These Dragoons are too injured. Sorry, I'm a little sleepy today. Been moving into a new house, and that's really been taking it out of me. Alright, yeah, that'll actually force him off, probably. Especially if he retreats right over here. Nope, he engages him. And that's what you generally should do if you have a Kohan who's like in a compromised position. Engaging them can cause them to run into melee, and when they're bunched up, they're not going to get surrounded because they're standing next to Dragoons and such that are allies that'll move with them when they retreat. Nice delay, but without anything really coming this way, he's kind of just feeding some experience to them. Oh, he got on top of her. That's cute. Oh, but they're making sure they get that. Nice. Okay, I didn't really talk about the map much. We have a few mines, a Farville there, Royalistville, Sayaville, Nationalistville. On this side we have Royalistville. Anything that they already took? A little scan. No. I'm not seeing much. Oh, yeah, there's this nationalist village. That's nice. See, that's a good example. You see how early this village surrendered? And that's a nationalist village. Nationalist villages do not surrender quick. And this village, the one that was getting hit by... by Jamshid, was actually around the same percentage. Okay, he's looking out over here. We have some mercenaries roaming in the back line. Economies, let's check economies. We have a solid eco out of the royalist player. Look, this much iron floating. Imagine they want to sell it. Could be a little bit higher, but I'm guessing he opened a scout, so that's kind of normal. And here we have Luke, myself with a, I want to say this econ's a little bit behind where it should be for this timing. Yeah, 8 minutes, you could get a little more. Just like standard build, and I guess it kind of slows down once you spend all your money. But yeah, he definitely no luck with bears or something to boost it. Like this royalist player with 54, this is excellent. This is very high. And he's in a spot where he's gonna have to fight a lot. Definitely not favorable versus 2 people. Max economy isn't strong though. I'm curious about that. What happened here? Did he get raided? Or what? Normally a Sil player with this kind of unit and everything would have his company use would be a lot higher. I'm definitely gonna have to go back and see that. Which Sil player is this? Is this Mac? Let's Beaver. Okay, I have no idea what he did to his economy. And we have a billet out of 1 nationalist player. This is gonna make his economy skyrocket. For those who don't know, the billet makes your settlers and your captain for your settlers cost less, which greatly cuts into their price, meaning you can settle a lot more than normal. And for nationalists, that's a pretty big deal, as nationalists get to have 2 slots in every village. This economy seems okay. Some firewalls in here. Okay, switching out to Sadira, you got lightning and bliss at least. Okay, they're just fighting. A little bit of awkward pressing from both sides. We're retreating and pressing. Doc's getting in here, he wants to damage these, this mine maybe. But up, not a good time, not a good position. He's actually pretty fun to get leveled up because his base damage is very high and he's already at legion, so as long as he stays alive, he's gonna scale pretty well. You see that with Melee Hans too. This guy has so much XP. It's because he's personally killing a lot. Which is also why you see Archer Hans with so much XP. Here we go. Okay, so Sigrid Mason. This guy has an ability. It's a loud chicken noise when he does this, and it's a staggering blow that disarms nearby enemies. So, the nice thing about this ability is it greatly reduces the enemy's attack value. I think it's by 20 or something. And it lasts for 8 seconds. It's not the longest duration. It's more than enough to swing a fight, especially if the opponent doesn't respect it and disengage. And then trying to re-engage after the buff wears off, you know, because yikes, is that a really strong spell, especially when you're playing Royalist and you likely outnumber your opponent already. So Fluke going for this village, working the militia down with some fireballs. This will kind of balance things out, because if he hadn't gotten a billet, then this backline nationalist player would be in a far better position. Only problem I'm seeing for him is he might have issues with settling space, depending on the pattern his teammates settle. Like, if I was this guy, I'd be settling outwards in line with this other stuff, because while it may suck, he has a good bastion here, so it kind of sucks to violate that. But essentially, that nationalist player can put 2 slot villages in the back row, and you want to leave him as much space as you can get for that, because he's going to be your carry or your mid-game, end-game timing. Especially considering this council player's economy is very atrocious. Offensively bad. Sorry, Beaver. I'm not sure what happened to you there. I'll have to watch the replay. He's so close to enlightened. When he gets enlightened, he gets a big bump in damage, and he's already regular, so you get this compounding effect of percentage increase in damage and defense, and then flat numbers going up, so you get like this kind of compounding thing. I'm not good with mouth words. I'm just trying to sound smart, so If I used any of that correctly, that would be nice. Okay, we have Sarai at Awakened, Nearing Enlightened, same deal. If you can get Sirach to Enlightened, he is such a monster. He does an immense amount of damage. And you can see when he fires into these militia. If you can stay engaged for just a little bit, you can get some kills and you're happy. But you might not want your scouts all bruised. Yep, he sees his scouts over there and he goes swinging in. That's a good move. And he's getting experience from Magog. And he's threatening a workshop bill too, so there's nothing to react here. He's gonna be in a sorry state. It seems like green's running into position. Maybe orange. No, he's just grabbing this wood. Oh, that is such a big loss. I would be pretty stressed out if I'm a royalist player being forced to sell my workshop bill. It is a huge blow to the economy. Luckily he did sell it, of course, and he's probably looking to rebuild it already. Yeah. Garrison running low, and he got stuck. Or stunned, rather. Very unfortunate. Garrison gets a lot of hit points at Enlightened, and can be used for anti-raiding at that point pretty good. You can just imagine Garrison smashing a Dragoon or something on scouts. It's pretty good. Going in here, that Mystic Shield doing some work, half damage from ranged and magic, that now he has routed. That's very unfortunate for old Adelon here. Seems to really want to go between the mountain and that village. Yeah. Ouch. Sucks to lose Adelon. He doesn't scale amazing or anything, but he is a fireball caster, and that scout company is pretty good at getting experience. So, like, the Dragoons and the Scouts kind of work like a queen in chess. You know, they have a lot of mobility, they can do a lot of raids, and it's important how they match up against each other. Defensively, you always have some leeway because you'll have militia plus your reactive anti-raid. Offensively, every little bit of stats you can get is valuable. Anything you can get. Defense value, fireballs, regular experience. Because that's what's enabling you to kind of push past the militia and the anti-raid. This is a big blob of units. Very unfortunate there's nothing healed for OJ. He's taking a sweet time getting that billet up too. And these guys are pumping out their mana quick. But now they have to get some damage done with it. It looks like they should be able to, frankly. They're both bringing 6 out of 8. OJ's 4 out of 7, and 2 of those companies are healing. Meanwhile, green is he's swinging down to help counter this, but that's a lot of footmen. I wonder why they did. Well, it's okay if you're really intending on keeping these guys alive for a long time and getting that experience out of them. Not getting forced out of position by black. They're surrounding Sidira. Definitely a forced sell here. And blue hitting this Ville, that's a big loss for OJ. Should definitely get into selling this stuff right ASAP. Oof, this could be game-losing damage. Getting that mine up's definitely going to be a big deal. He's fighting here in the woods. But these blessed scouts are actually holding their own, which is pretty funny. He's got plenty of mana coming up, he just needs time. Any other engagements? Plenty of footmen. Lots of, I like this. This is fantastic use of units. We got a ton of skeletons, walling for horse archers and dragoons. And that's definitely going to put a lot of pressure on that on that horse archer mass. Because they really do nothing at that point, you know? Look at that 3-3-3-3-3. If you can get to save a village and you see something like that, you emphasize how the you put a lot of emphasis on the hard counter of skeletons versus archers. Now, the obvious answer to that is paladins or battle priest or something, but even that doesn't really work great because you've got mixed unit comps of living and undead. They're carving out a lot of damage on OJ here. And Mac, their other backline nationalist player, is just kind of smoothly transitioning into his mid game. Meanwhile, causing massive damage to the mid game player. Purple is recovered with quite a bit to spare and pulling off raids. Well, this would be a push, I guess, against Mac. Maybe pulling some of the attention. Black is holding here. Oof, enemy territory. Yep, just sell it. Why not? You already did the damage. Oof. Brown is in the negatives. Ooh, 12. 12 out of 12. This dude is massing. He's bringing it. Okay. He saw his teammates in need and he was like, alright. Send in the footmen. Keep them mixed up. Green's economy is fantastic. Yeah, he's definitely going to be a force in the mid game. He's mostly built it with, I guess, iron depots and settling. Maybe he has a few gold mines. Yes, okay. OJ is on the mend, and with that billet, he should be able to. It's a shame not to have scouted all this. This is definitely something that could bring him back into the game. We got mass skills out of Brown, fixing his economy rapidly. That's a shame to lose Courage Horse Archers, especially your first one. That's just a lot of experience. It's gonna take forever to get back. Once you lose something like that in Kohan, it's gone. You know, like, there's no, like, way to make up the time usually, unless the game just happens to extend out. Because you gotta remember, if it's regular, then it's gonna be better, and instead you just have brand new horse archers, and there's a huge discrepancy in value there. Namely between veteran and normal. 3-3. Some pressure coming out of orange. If you have the sums, you should be dancing a little bit. And that is putting some pressure on those footmen, I guess. A lot of this is coming up to purple here. Proper unit control and pikemen. Pikemen have amazing stats. If there's a company you want to go long, or even with a cleric or something to be pikemen, they have 14 DV. And that means when they get experience, that value goes up quite a bit. Pikemen are, of course, attack. And they have magic chain and magic plate on this side. I want to say this is a east versus west game. So the east side has magic chain and magic plate, as well as pikemen, pathfinders, and lich. Nice. Some good dancing going on here. Fighting in this forest is excellent for these dragoons. Just draining that militia. When the militia's dead, this village is much more vulnerable to a raid or some kind of unforeseen event. Good surround on this. At least I think they kind of interjected before they mess around. This unit was moving and they just kind of got jammed up on them. Intercepted, rather. Ooh, getting out of there. If he can get this guy leveled up, he is very, very good. His personal modifiers just keep getting better, his hit points get even better, and he has vorpal damage and an excellent scaling base number. Enlightened Sidira, that's nice. This is not going to have the same impact as when I had the horse archers behind him, but he has remade his horse archers, so that'll come back. Hitting in 2 places is not a bad idea. Tech for the other side, magic blade, magic chain down. You're fine with this as both players. I wouldn't be happy having my berserkers butchered like this, because this is a ton of experience for Daria. She's one of the best scaling protection Kohan, as she just personally starts providing additional protection at restored. Yeah. So she goes from providing 6 from protection to 8, and then eventually 10. And ascended. All the while, you know, larger mana pool, etc. Better healing spells. Just barely not in the woods. That's okay. Now they're on the back foot here, largely because of the pushing that purple has done, and largely important they use pikemen and just positioning. Brown's economy is pretty solid. Cleric Paladin. Now that's actually a good solution. That's a nice in the middle solution. Because clerics and paladins are good against footmen and also skeletons. So, yeah. The paladin will get some experience from everything, has to scale up a little bit, and also he just kind of has these ridiculous stats. If you look at paladin stats, healthy from the cleric, and then the sustain from the cleric, and the paladin's personal damage. That whole gets amplified insane versus skeletons. Alright, we have Solomon. One of the better Kohan, melee Kohan. Especially versus Seiya. Not that he's versus Seiya, but he has a high provided shadow being. I like to see this guy being used out of company. He is so good, even if you just put him on Awake, you can probably improve a company's stats significantly. Like, he'd do better on these scouts, for example. Even if this guy was enlightened, he'd do better. Because his Warcry just has so much provided attack value. And he's one of those Kohan who don't scale excellently. Start strong, ends pretty strong. Lots of wizards coming out. It's not the timing you want to hit as council. Like, I noticed I'd much rather go scouts or super scouts into crossbows or something, and that, or something teched out for what I'm fighting. But just wizard bows, it's a good way to not buddy. Unless it's a swear. Good way to not swerve your teammates by whoring too much. Whoring is also a swear. Essentially, it's when you guys probably know what that is. It's when a teammate will do something like build mass battle cruisers and like, hey, protect me while I do this. Just wait, I'm not gonna help you. As soon as I have my loot bowman, you don't really want to do that, even as council. Lucius. I'm surprised to see Lucius on them, unless he lost this time. That sucks if he did. Yes, this time was first for Lucius. We have Enlightenment God, nearing restored veteran XP. Look at that AP value. That's while he's skirmishing and his crest. Damn, that was sneaky. Good unit control, as always. Here we have hand trying to counter this push from the nationalist player, but to no avail. A good balance of summoners and DPS here. Mostly summoners. That's fine. Surprised, I feel like I'm more and more of a fan of double subs. The mixed spawns are easier to control. Sometimes they just lack the staying power. And you can get a lot of your DPS from moving into zealots. but you do have to remember to move into zones. This is a good raid. Lots of economy damage. Consistently on the orange player, people have been getting raids off on, probably because there's a lack of control in this mid area. Meanwhile, they've fortified theirs quite well. This is certainly something you want to look out for. Before building your next company or your next village, maybe build some outposts in places to kind of protect the ones you already have. Should be able to bounce back to that, it looks like. Let's see. 7 companies. 7 companies. So relatively even with blue having the larger economy. He's complaining about the 2v1 or 3v1 versus him. But understandably, Beaver's economy has been horrible. I don't imagine he could fight. Yeah, not even brutally could he hold out. Especially with mass pikemen and Typhon on the horse archers. How much damage this does. Flanking this is just pretty much putting your fun bits in a wasp's nest. As you can see, his hit points at enlightened are quite high, and he will just engage those scouts and blow them all up. Jordan, you see, I think the issue of having him on ranged companies is his cast range is actually kind of low. That's why you don't hear this big thunderous shockwave going on. You kind of need him on company. Oh, there is one. You kind of need him on companies that are melee, or you need to be able to put him on engage. Lots of fighting in these woods, and you know what? As you're pretty happy fighting in the woods as a nationalist player. It slows your retreat, but if they move into the woods and your elementals are in the woods, then they're getting bonus defense value, and yeah, it works out pretty much. Definitely wanting to get some value with this very strong melee Kohan. He can beat this company pretty handedly if he can engage it safely. Even without Kendra here, at this point, the healing isn't going to counter this AV. That's something I feel people don't really appreciate about melee Kohan, is that they win the 1v1s versus the cleric Kohans. It's just that the cleric Kohans have so much sustain, and they're better against mass numbers, and they're better at getting experience because of that. But as far as actually winning fights, you could put any melee Kohan almost versus a cleric Kohan, and they'll usually outscale them actually, as long as they aren't completely borked or scuffed. Okay, we have some pushing going on from the purple in the north. Lots and lots of fighting. Econing behind the pikemen, fixing his. He just has to settle and build sawmills, and he will keep going. This is creating a lot of pressure on these players. And Red's lack of units is certainly creating a lot of pressure on these players. Pretty much looks like mostly a stalemate in the south here. Horse archers and horse archers with, I guess he gave up. No, Khaldun's. Yep, 14 companies versus 10. With the militia, this is gonna keep favoring the more numerous. I imagine he might want to start throwing in some mana. You know, yeah, he built this. When you're in that situation, you can kind of sell this too and just build a library. But you kind of want to bait some gold before you start. Get an econ, so you can fix it. Yeah, if you just built some magicians or even Maelstrom engine at this point, it would be pretty good versus all this. This is kind of cool. It's just a pitched battle. This is old-timey, no clunky, no fancy maneuvering. Just charge into the blender. You see some elementals getting dropped off. This is working out because every time you engage, you're gonna get some value and experience out of this. This is kind of goofy, but you know, it will scale. Pathfinders start out with better DPS than pretty much most things. It's better than Magician's DPS versus low AD values especially. And they will ignore the range, the archer resistance from these guys. So that's nice. And Sholoshi, archer resistance only applies to units of the archer class, not Kohan and support unit elements. Rangers are support elements. So you see that damage? It's going right through that. And of course she's checking out the builds. Maybe that was what I was thinking at the time, is I'm just going to be able to shoot these wizards with these Pathfinders. And I didn't want to march Maelstrom engines around to have a similar effect. Maelstrom engines are also less reactive. Archers run 18, so they move slightly faster than most of the supports that they usually paired with. Yeah, that's doing work. She's getting a lot of experience. It's kind of funny. Purple is putting so much pressure on the yeah, there's no answer to all this. It's just mass. Once green moves in, his massive economy. Yeah, I don't think he's been hard most of this game. 10 out of 15, 17 out of 20. Nukes went over here below. He's doing okay. His teammates are definitely buying. And so yeah, he can fight there for a little bit, but the casters it's just these scouts or something. Just plow them, trounce them. Ooh, takes it, immediately builds a wall. This is a nice move. It's something you don't see often. That wall's going to increase the value of... I think he sold it because he's getting pushed out there rim. And he hasn't had time to be militia rim. Yeah, that wall is really nice. The extra defense value on the militia. Especially if you're planning on upping it to the watchtower. This is a good raid on Brown. Quite painful. This roll's already empty. He has a lot of banked income. Like a lot of banked income. He could be making Pikemen, which I think would win him this fight pretty handedly. Pikemen are pretty much already blessed footmen, if you want to think about what their primary stats are. Yeah, he's got enough to counter this, but gives him tons of space to push on this front. And he looks like he has very little support. OJ reacting sluggishly with pushing in the middle. It's a little sad. He's actually doing a lot of work here. It looks like there's a little bit of a timer. He needs to move everything over here and start supporting him. Because otherwise he's got a lot of stuff coming his way. The 1v1 down there is definitely flipping. Mostly because of the addition of those cleric equipment, which was a pretty clever way of dealing with it. I'm not a fan of double paladins generally versus skeletons. Like, it's great, not for the man fighting. He's got a nice image. Double paladin could just push up. Yeah, nice fight here. Ooh, up that painful is contributing a whole lot to that company. Distance, personal stats. War cry, battle cry, crossbows. That's some 10. I I wonder, they probably have better DPS with Battle Cry than the Wizards do. So, it would be kind of fun to do long crossbows. I do have a build for long crossbows. I think it's pretty solid versus Royalist, but not great versus everyone else. Yeah. This is definitely where the most dangerous thing is happening. If he can't, even OJ's morale is low. He needs to move a lot of units to that side. And you can see Blue has pretty much all in his economy. He's trying to come back. Yeah, he's all cleric. Though at this point in the game, especially with things like crossbows coming out, this is gonna feel really, really bad. But you know, you do what you can with what you got. And getting Zealots out behind those submarines is definitely worth it. Gives his chance for his teammates and just all these big fights with that amping to everything that already exists, especially if he can fight through these wizards. Restore light placements. No light. That's 7 defense. Crazy hard. This guy's just kind of made himself real comfortable over here, but he has plenty of staying power, good mixture of DPS and other stats. Only thing it is weak to just straight up magicians. That's the only thing I would say. As long as these guys have a front line, they should provide enough over there, especially to that many. That's all hit there. Good to see OJ send his units back in. We have plenty of interesting builds. This makes sense because of that. He has the excess iron and smith. Anything more complicated than this. Just what's more frontline, and you know what? Grenadiers are excellent at killing footmen and other infantry. Alright, looks like he's got the pressure here. He's gotta move all these guys in. Whew. Oh, and we got crossbows. Now, crossbows are actually a perfect answer to everything over here. Nothing over here can fight crossbows. It's kind of a classic predicament of what do you do against crossbows? There's not a good answer. Crossbows are good against lots of chaff. They're good against tanky units. He could swing in at the same time. It's just a lack of that. They're so uncoordinated. Probably because OJ is stretching attention. And that's definitely something I'm not great at. It's all okay. Conceptually the right things. Execution. And we are getting Maelstrom engines, Fanatic Maelstrom engines. So he had gone up, I noticed that. Yeah, that's a good answer. That pretty much works against everything that's included. You got the damage amp from the Zealots. It's gonna be a little finicky being on footmen, but you know they need to run into all these fanatics. Yeah. I really like purple and green's playstyle in this game. They're also both floating so much econ. They could afford to spend even more, but they're not worried about it. Because they already have their enemies on the ropes, they're just conserving. They could definitely go for, I don't know, like if I was purple, I'd probably mass crossbows or something. Meanwhile, these guys are scrambling. Except for Teal, he's in a good place. He's been raiding, he's got a lot of damage, he's just kind of holding on to this island here that he's built for himself. He's got then the strip continues up here. Definitely the east is leaning on the west. Hard. Okay, so Slistok didn't die. We have a restored Unholy Strength Typhon. Unholy Strength no longer damages the defense value of these guys like Shadow Blessing does, but gives them a ton of unholy attack. Funnily enough, Typhon is ranged benefit. But his AVs are right now. This definitely works. They just don't have a they need more summoners and standing point Fanatic Master Company. That's their centerpiece. They'd like 2 Fanatic Master Companies, but you got what you got. The economy, the tech, Pikemen. Pikemen are so economic. They can usually fight units with mana, despite just costing low. Definitely something you can deal with, especially with Nationalist. Nationalist can get some losers and then might actually get like yeah, it's got so much Kohan experience over here. We've had so many Kohan. Plenty of experience. And over here we still have the back and forth good dancing out of actually enlightened Seth. Let's try to paint debuffs on people. The zealots. He built his own zealots. 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 Yeah, he built his own zealots over there. And orange is just bringing a significant portion here. This is the only real winning side, so I guess if this stops winning, then that's probably good. Just using these companies to dance back and forth. Or providing some nice stats to those ones. And the death ball is really cool. Yeah. Plenty of front line for these guys. At this point, it's pretty damn let's say. He's been buffed. He's had a little lot of pressure. 2 players on one here. You have a mix here, some silly ones for Slasher. And veteran restored Ravine, which 580. I mean 25 easy. Just straight Belgians. They don't have to be Fanatic Belgians. Or even both Belgians. Just Belgians are pretty big fight here. I'm surprised at how this team is the aggressors here. Partly due to the outpost, but this thing flips side like 10 times. That's usually when you get your attack on, it seems. Something like that happening. Every time you take a village, there's a chance to get some tech, opponent's technologies. Sometimes a village will have an AoE damage, which repeatedly flip it between both sides. Enemy hits it, you hit it, enemy hits it, you hit it. Well, this is doing surprisingly good. Looks like footmen raid from hand. There's Kohan on them, so that they're gonna perform better than you'd expect. They can definitely take out a village or 2. Look at these death blobs. Okay. Maybe it's not quite over yet, jeez. These two restored veteran Kohan are terrifying. Almost restored. And Lucius is nice to have on horse archers, even with middling stats. He doesn't get much better himself, but Courage is a good spell. Fanatic Maelstrom. We're at elite. Yeah, these guys can definitely do some damage. Standing out forest with elite stats. It's nice to have a dedicated archer go on. That's understandable. That trailways can just come in handy for 7 mana summoners. They can get out of forests and such. Okay, we're doing some dancing here. Creating some pressure. See, horse archers don't do much to elementals here. At that 50% range res. They definitely that. And you can see how much damage the dog's taking. I guess none because he wasn't engaged, so that makes sense. Crossbows. That's good. It's just more DPS. You can see his AV is pretty damn high too. This is kind of funny, but I guess it's more frontline. More frontline is more better. And good pressure here. Definitely base check. Brown sending in his units. Seems to be getting ready for a raid or something. Or getting ready to anti-raid. Nice healthy blob here from purple. Fanatic Masterman's good versus against crossbows, but usually Fanatic Masterman is shooting over these elementals. McLeod definitely has a lack of summoners. He's substituted these footmen. We're doing an okay job, honestly. It's the eco-friendly version. Wait, it's the eco-friendly version of it, I guess. When you need the zealots, you need the zealots. Especially since Crowd of Fear is good against summoners. A very morale-oriented unit. So they're kind of teched out in that they have magic weapons and elements bonus. Magic weapons actually works against them kind of versus summoners though, because their elementals have magic resistance 50%, so these guys are going to hit half as hard as they should, which means probably minimal damage almost. So it's going to run the DV and then the 50%. A devastating block. I was shocked at how long the enemy team has been holding on. 18, 20, 15, 20. Black is in the economically at this point. McCloud is on his last legs. Negative 15 if this village goes down. It's going to be negative equal. Purple's in 150. OJ's full spending, just dropping all of his mana into the fights that he can. Looks like lots of magicians, lots of summoners. He's gonna push here in the south while we take out the Smiting Village, which should put him in a massive detriment. Yep, nice. 30, see that? plenty of pressure going on here. I like Sorceress Magician mixes. They kind of force enemies to dedicate the fight sometimes. But they definitely suffer from not having enough. Teal's economy is still okay, despite being -6 and +50. Really needs to get rid of that iron somehow. Either another Dragoon company or something. Selling it also works. Yeah, the writing's on the wall here, I want to say. They've pushed pretty far. It's been like that for a while, but they're still engaged with silly stuff. Damage. This is finally going down. See, using the guard command was pretty decent for like telling you guys to mop up an area while you're not paying attention. You just hit G, then aim it at the spot you want to see them clear everything out of there. So you don't have to keep re-controlling them. Hey, kill the militia. Hey, kill this building. Hey, take out the outpost in there. Nice little fireball. Taking out Slistog, that's nice. Definitely is a moral victory. It's not a actual. They're surrendering. Yep, both sides started pushing and squeezing them. I want to say that purple and green's economies really did the work here. Orange kind of played a support role, and brown was in that 1v1 for the longest time. Cleric, paladin, footmen. Although, I want to say it was more that Teal just kept ecoing and the ground kind of stagnated. We got some calls for resign. They're probably trying to get in the next game. There you go. Alright, well, I think that was a pretty interesting game. For sure. I think everyone played relatively well. One player certainly was crawling on the ground here. I don't know what happened to his economy. We'll go back and check. Okay, here we go, checking out Red's economy and what happened to his early game, really, because it's a case study. It'll be a case study. It could be something very simple, or it could just be a classic blunder. Let's see. Double settle, no. Team's looking pretty normal right now. Cancel this. Okay. Why the quarry? Yeah, I said pretty normal, but the quarry is very odd, actually. Is it because he's intending to build engineers? Oh, okay. So I've seen this a lot. Yeah. And he's trying to use the mine to fix his eco. I highly advise not doing this, because the thing you're not getting back is the price of the engineers, the price of the captain, the price of the quarry, and your GPM is not going to be the same as other players. You might have a few more units if you want to count your engineers early on, but ultimately this player should be like 36 economy or 50. 50 by now would be actually kind of normal. I can't believe it's been 9 minutes. Holy smokes, that's slow. That's so slow. Yeah, I think every other player is blasting past them. When you're behind the royalist player who went mass skeletons, it's a little shocking. Yeah, then he also upgraded this to a fort, I guess, which was completely unnecessary, I want to say, because he's kind of been the one playing on the other side of the map. And he's just floating this 4 iron. He can't sell it. What he could do is sell this carpentry, turn it into a wood mill, and then turn this into a sawmill or something. I mean, an iron depot. Alright, well, I just wanted to see what happened there. Case study. If you have exploitable resources on your map, don't rush engineers to do it faster. Do your standard open, then build a quarry in a ville, and then get the engineers. Alright. Especially if you're gonna settle to it slowly. Unless it's like in your main, and even then I want to say, unless you really have a good idea on how your economy works, I wouldn't recommend doing it. I've seen so many players shoot themselves in the foot like that. Because Council has arguably the second best to even the best economy. So being at that low is pretty damning for your team. Alright. Well guys, thank you for joining me for another game of Kohan, and I hope to see you next time.